so excited to have you all with us. My name is Rainey and I am streaming to you live. We both are, Nicole and I, from the great Las Vegas, Nevada. It seems that a lot of alien shit goes down in Las Vegas. My name really is Rainy Day. I'm a generational psychic medium. I was born this way, as do dead people. And I would love to introduce you to the fabulous, beautiful Nicole Borghi. She's amazing. Tonight we're going to talk about remote viewing, and you can find me on rainyday.com. Book a session with me. It'll change your life. Welcome, Nicole. Tell us a little bit about you. Where can we find you?
Well, hello. You can find me in the universe. You can find me in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, and you can find me at sabotagesmasher.com. Everything Sabotage Smasher or Nicole Borghi. That's me. I'm everywhere. You'll see my mug. You'll see this face and maybe some alien friends of mine.
So adorable. I know. So I have a tattoo that says, I'm not from here. I'm truly not from here. I've always felt like an alien. I mean, my real name really is Rainy Day. My middle name threw Ann in there. Don't know why. But I'm really glad that we're talking about remote viewing. Oh, it's so funny. Joshua Benjamin. Thank you for joining, Joshua. He said, I keep waiting on the X-Files logo. And I said, aha, the truth is out there, buddy.
I want to believe.
Joshua. Yeah, do you believe? I need one of those posters. I used to have one, and in the move, I can't find it.
We'll find it. Well, you have to find a logo. We'll find it somewhere. I'm sure the fabulous universe has it, right? Oh, there you go. There you go. I want to believe, on a ship near you. That's where you'll find us, right?
I love that, on a ship near you. So what I want to kind of say that, Nicole, you and I really got to do a CE5. If you're not familiar with CE5, Universal Google it, and Dr. Stephen Greer. I really want to do a CE5 event because I hear Rupert is coming back. And what a CE5 event is, I know. And we're going this time. It won't be raining and thundering. No pun intended. But what's cool about it, and there's CE5 meetups all over the world now.
Yes.
And this kind of goes into what we're talking about, remote viewing, because when you go out there, you do this protocol and you do some deep meditation and you connect, you literally tell, and I'm going to say aliens, but other beings of light, other energetic beings, where you are, where you're at, you're basically like a beacon dialing them in. And I heard the last time that they went that they have pictures and there were sightings, and it was pretty damn cool.
Awesome.
Have you done any CE5 protocols yet?
I only did the meditation, and I've attended a webinar with them, which was awesome. He's pretty awesome. He's got some good energy. It's really nice, little skeptical about stuff, especially if it's in Vegas. It's a little off kilter, like beyond, like if I'm telling you it's crazy, it's crazy.
I love you. But shit goes down in Vegas, right? Am I right?
It does.
I've been here.
It does.
I'm a native Nevadan, 6th generation, but I've been here a little over 40 years.
Yeah.
My husband worked out at the box. I know a lot of people who have. And I have so many stories to tell. I really do. And I'm sure you do too, because we work among them.
Well, yeah, where I used to work, when I was doing a psychic and energy healing down in Henderson, there was a lot of portals, and which was amazing. And you could really there was just this empty field that nobody touched. And for Vegas not to throw something on it, that building, says something, right? Because especially because the value of land here, and we would see beings down the hallway, through the portal, in the parking lot. So it just really, they show themselves to you. There was a lot of energy and a lot of movement up and down the hallway.
I love that. I did a CE5 protocol about a month and a half ago when I went to go visit my dad in Reno, and I was lying in the room that he made up for me in his house, and I had just started to fall asleep, and I swear to you, I wasn't asleep. I was still aware, but I was doing the consciousness kind of getting, this is remote viewing. It's raising your consciousness. It's getting out of your human existence and rising literally above your human experience as a soul, as a spirit, as an energy. Because as a psychic medium, I read energy, I see energy, just like you, Nicole.
Yeah.
So I can kind of, I'm on my side, I'm looking down. I open my eyes because I thought I thought my dad walked in, and I see this really tall silhouette of something, and the bed got pushed and it jolted me awake. So as a psychic medium, my key to telling everybody, if you want to see spirit or disembodied energies or aliens, you got to hold the energy. You can't do those knee-jerk reactions like, what was that? Squirrel. You have to just kind of be calm and hold the energy. Sometimes even spirit kind of freaks me out when they come like bam. But I don't know about you, but I swear it was because of CE5 protocols that there was some type of a very tall, thin. It reminded me of Jack from that Jack, the Christmas, This Is Halloween.
Oh, yes.
Like
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Startled
Yes.
the hell
The
out of
Tim
me, and I
Burton
couldn't
one.
sleep the rest of the night.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it's but those spirits will come in. When I did that meditation, the spirit was coming in, and I just kind of cruised out. And that whole thing ended before I even woke back up, because I was so into that separation, that body separation, and being able to hold it. Yeah, you really have to be ready for it. And I think sometimes that's what they mean by people aren't ready for disclosure. Certain people are not. The ones that are ready for it have seen it. So that disclosure has come to you. So there's those people that are definitely like, we're ready. Just come on down, land on the White House lawn. We're here. Come on.
And then there's those others.
Yeah.
Like, you believe in aliens? Oh, and you're a psychic medium.
Yeah, it's all, right? It's all energy.
Right?
And when you talk about remote viewing, the government studied at it. So hello.
Yes.
So you can tell me it's not, but you believe in intuition. So what really is that?
Right.
That's that belief, and that's that energy. You're seeing something. You're seeing that. You're focusing on something that you desire or something that you want, or you're starting to tune in, turn on, and you're leveling up, and your energy is rising higher. And that's not just a positivity thing and like, oh, I'm so happy, which is great, but that's that allowing that energy to lighten up, right? You're not in that heavy density. You can't stay dense.
I want to welcome Joshua and Sandra and Nina. Thank you guys for showing up. We appreciate it. Post your questions here. And I want to kind of tag onto what you were talking about, Nicole, is if you go on Prime Video, look up Third Eye Spies. I have a family member who was involved in that. Watch the movie Men Staring at Goats. One of those characters was loosely based on my family member's life. And what it was is Stanford Research Institute was hired by the CIA to do remote viewing on the enemy. And in 1975, Jimmy Carter even states to this day, although he stated incorrectly, he was informed that there was a Russian down airplane, and it was very, very technologically advanced, and we really wanted to get our hands on it, but we couldn't find it through various means. And so someone came to someone in the CIA and said, I know this woman, it wasn't a woman, who does remote viewing. Why don't we give it a try? And she gave the longitude and longitude. She was off by less than -2 degrees, and they found that down airplane. And you can Google it. It was in Africa, and they recovered it, and it actually helped our technology and what we're up against. So guys, don't believe us. Do your own research. So what's your experience with remote viewing?
Really, I started getting into it when I was younger, and now, but then really kind of just reading up more as an adult into Ingo Swann, right?
Love that person. Guys, look him up.
He's amazing. Listen to him. There's some of his events and his conferences that he gives. This guy is just really amazing, super intelligent, totally connected, very artistic man. And I was looking up some biographies that went deeper into his life, but he did some writing. He's an author, a painter, did all this other stuff, but really that psychic remote viewing really kicked in, and he was part of that. And I believe, what was it, Russell Targ as well?
Russell Targ was a laser physicist that was part of the Stanford Research Institute. I actually met him and have a book that he signed somewhere in this menagerie.
But yeah, that was very much part of that growing up and being in Silicon Valley. That was just, some of that sciencey.
You were there then.
Stuff. I was in Silicon Valley. I didn't meet them. I met Marcel Vogel. That's as
no
far
way.
as I got, right?
Still,
and
I call
and
that
another, which, amazing. I mean, if stuff just moved through his warehouse, it was just awesome. But to meet him, it's just very tall, sweet as can be, angelic man. And, another IBM scientist that was studying crystals in, like phones, technology, computers, where we have our crystals and the energy components of it, and how it multiplied and how it radiated, and how crystals survived, and how you can program crystals, because we program our own crystals. Give it a duty, give it a chore. But he studied that, and in studying that, he found that it helped in healing and changing the energy, right? For the positive or negative, or just really, he was very quick with it. What I love is he was very into it, sharp to the point, and that was it. But that was at that time, even Silicon Valley now, they're studying portals, dimensions. Look at Jacques Vallée,
Jacques Vallée.
Close
Guys,
Encounters.
remember that pioneer. Yeah. Wasn't he the one that talked about the super crystal? Now, back in the day when I was young, most watches, believe it or not, I know I'm old, I'm 60, I'm just glad I'm still breathing, but watches were powered by crystals.
Yeah.
Literally. So when you heard it that a crystal watch, it really was a crystal watch. I think he's doing some really phenomenal technology breakthroughs and scientific experiments. And I believe it's him, where they take a specific type of laser. Now, there's different types of lasers, if you know the light spectrum, because that's another key, guys. As a psychic medium, understand the light spectrums and what they represent, and the frequencies of those light spectrums. He took, and I don't remember what type of crystals, but he would take it and he would shoot these lasers into them. It would change the construct of the actual crystal, but after a while, the crystal almost 100% went back to its original form, from a very molecular, look at me talking all science, from a very molecular standpoint when you re-examined it. And so this is something that I'm glad you brought him up, because that sparked a memory.
And he's coming to, is it Laughlin, for another UFO con, and I think it's November. I'm not sure. Is it
here in Vegas? I think it's here in Vegas.
Is it in Vegas and not Laughlin? I thought they were doing that because okay, awesome.
Is it like MUFON too? MUFON's going to be there.
I'm not really sure, but I know that he's doing. He just did a book and some research with Paula Harris, I believe, and they coordinated. But Jacques Vallée really, who that he is as a scientist, as a researcher, and then he collaborates, and he does a lot of entrepreneurship into businesses. And so when you're saying there's no disclosure, people who are in the private sector have all that information, right?
So Bigelow, right? Bigelow Aerospace?
Yeah, he's the Siegel Suites guy.
No, he's not the Siegel Suites guy. He's the other one.
Oh, right. I know he's
Siegel
in
Suites
aerospace.
Is the younger guys, but he's the other one. He made his fortune in these day, night, weekly suites.
Budget.
That's where he made his fortune. And he started Bigelow Aerospace, who he also bought Skinwalker Ranch. And the government paid him to study the phenomenon going on at Skinwalker Ranch. And if you haven't seen Skinwalker Ranch, it's on the History Channel. Or you can
look
see it
up
on
George
YouTube.
Knapp. talks about it all the time.
George Knapp, another one, Las Vegas, KLAS investigator, reporter. Since I've been here, I've known George Knapp. He's the guy who broke the Area 51 Bob Lazar story.
Yeah.
So all of this is I'm getting chills. My butterflies are going to fly off my freaking arm. But you know, all of this is interrelated, and remote viewing, if you can hone that skill, you can go anywhere. And you know, Nicole, you were talking to me about, so some of our CE5 people, or actually in Dr. Stephen Greer's, what is it? Something fifth dimension. I'm terrible right now with names. Something of, Contact of the Fifth Kind or something like that. Just go on Prime Video, Dr. Stephen Greer.
Yes.
He's got like 3 wonderful videos. He was talking about how one of his very close people that, you know, kind of pioneered this technique. I'm going to call it a technique because my family's been doing it for generations. Astral travel, remote viewing. The guy found himself just wandering out in space and all of a sudden bounced in and through into what he said. Now, I don't know this firsthand. I'm just repeating what I saw on this program. A spaceship, and he was in an alien spaceship. So you kind of wanted to expand on that too, right?
You mean traveling into the spaceship, or being
or
on
you
that?
said something about alien spaceships, remote viewing, didn't you?
Right. Well, you can remote view. Yeah, we had talked about remote viewing like a ship, right? So being able to make that contact, and part of that can happen like where you could detail where the ship is or something like that, or getting what's in the ship, you know, where's that detail that you can get on that contact as you're really sinking into that, because you have to be of that heightened energy like you were talking about before in order to find this, in order to make, you know, you can start to coordinate some of that contact. And so when you're in that state or in that stasis, and your body is changed, it's energy, and you're more of the heightened positivity, and you're in that love and light mode, and you're actually using your left and right brains at that same time, because a lot of people think that woo-woo is, you know, on that other side, right? It's on the left going to the right? So that creative energy here, but you're being analytical because you're writing details down and you're scripting where you're contacting. You know, is it longitude, latitude, or you're putting a place there, and you're putting that together. So you're using both parts. You're using both components of your brain housing unit.
You know, it's fascinating that you talk about that, because the greatest psychic ever, they said, who worked for the CIA, died here in Las Vegas in a motel room. His name is Pat Price, and he has chronologically discussed his life through that Third Eye Spies. Dr. Targ just thought it was a travesty, but he would take that consciousness, and he would talk about consciousness in a very methodical way about going out of your physical body, still being tied to it. You know, a lot of people ask me, but Rainey, what if you don't want to come back, or what if you can't get back? Well, you always come back, because you have this silver energetic cord that always keeps you tethered to your human existence. So never fear this stuff. Fear will keep you from experiencing this. But he was able to raise his consciousness, and he would actually like use his hands also, and he would put it on the world, and then he would drill down further, and he almost used his body like a human pendulum to hone in. And when he finally honed in on one specific thing, he dropped his experience, his existence into it. So he wasn't like a satellite taking pictures from above. He was actually in and walking around where he was trying to connect with. And that was the key for him being able to be so specific. I forget one of the great, I mean, he did many things, Pat Price, but it's funny because he died, and Clark County Coroner's Office didn't even do an autopsy. His wife wasn't notified until 2 days later. They cremated his body. He is in an unmarked grave in somewhere in, I think, where you were talking about. No, Dr. Targ talks about this in Third Eye Spies, because I think they thought he might be defecting or going to the other side. But what about Uri Geller? Tell me, do you know about Uri Geller?
No, no, that doesn't ring a bell right now.
Look him up, guys. He's another one who does astral travel remote viewing. He's the guy, this Benny Spoon guy. He's
Okay.
Israeli. He's kind of a showman, but he is also a pioneer in remote viewing. So give me some more experience. Talk more about remote viewing. How do you do it? Where do you want to go with this?
Oh, we can go anywhere. I mean, like when I started remote viewing or astral traveling when I was a kid, and I'd
To me,
separate.
it's synonymous, don't you think?
Yeah, and it because you're looking outside, you're detaching in a sense from your body, and you're looking outside, so that view is remote. So as a psychic, you're viewing remotely in that sense, and you're putting those together. And you're just kind of traveling around the world, or in the city, or it became harder for a while as an adult because I had forgotten that gift I had as a child, right? And so you're like either remote viewing, you're astral traveling, you're in a different dimension, you're able to move up and down, left and right, go in and out as a child because you're so free, right? I mean,
It is freeing.
yeah, yeah, but yeah, as a child, I didn't know that it wasn't a thing or it wasn't for everybody, and got lost in that. But I really think it's I mean, for me, where I'd like to go is the simplicity of it for people. And like you said earlier, that fear. If you fear it, it's a dense energy, it's not going to happen.
No, because you're staying in your human existence and you can't. You've got to get up into that higher consciousness.
Right, right. And you can't just, oh, well, I can't do it. I can't do it. Well, then you can't, right? So
No,
then
my
that
grandmother would
subconscious
kick my
kicks
ass
in.
if I ever said I can't. She would say,
Yeah,
"You're basically telling me you won't and you're not going to." So I'm like, "Oh crap!" She called me on that. Yeah, so
right,
you can do it. Anybody can do it.
right, right. It's kind of like Peter Pan. Think of the magical thought, any happy little thought. And
I
you're
love that.
right, and you're thinking of
I'm going to use that.
Christmas, think of snow, and they put the pixie dust. Well, what is that basically? That dust represents those that little sprinkle of light and love and that gold energy, right? So you can
That
always wrap a
energy.
gold ribbon around you, right? And
Yeah.
so it's just in that Disney was really great at this and putting it into that childhood perspective where people would be more comfortable opening up to it, and then they just travel, right? And they just go wherever they want to go or however they want to go. But he could never travel without his shadow. He had to have his Peter Pan had to have a shadow, which is, that's another thing. But that's that you have to understand your shadow self. You have to have a shadow to exist. That Carl Jung, that shadow is very much good and bad and all particles of you. And if you don't have that, then you're not existing without your shadow self. And so without that full existence, and you can't travel. So you have to understand that you have full existence in this dimension and another. And so you can just kind of go and portray yourself in that and just let it be. Just let that ease and that separation, right? It's kind of like a roller coaster ride. When you start to separate, you're like, woo, you're going up, 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 and then you're going down, and it's that freedom, like where you feel kind of separate as you hit the top, and right as you start to fall, you're not really falling, but you kind of feel that intense separation.
Yeah. And that's the point where people get scared and pull back. And it's like they come right back into existence. My grandmother, when actually not my grandmother, my uncle Mikey would talk to me as a little girl. He's just the most amazing soul. He is incredibly gifted and beyond what I ever could be. He tried to tell me, what was happening because I would travel, especially when I slept.
Yeah.
I was just that kid that always was a very lucid dreamer. Spirit would always come to me in my dreams, also waking,
Mm.
but it was normal for me. But he said, Rainey, just imagine you're reading like the greatest fantasy book and you're reading this wonderful fairy tale, this wonderful book, and each page it just sucks you in and it just brings you in. And before you know it, you're lost in this world, in this book. And that's what remote viewing feels like to me.
Yeah.
getting lost in that story. And there's times where I'm like, this doesn't feel good, spirit. I don't like this, so please readjust me. And I always trust spirit is going to guide me where I'm supposed to go. But I can even remember, I'm a forensic psychic as well, and I use it. Lisa Williams, I was born this way, but I'm always educating myself. I don't know everything. And so I took a course with Lisa Williams about forensic psychic, because I always felt like when I saw those kids that are
Mm,
missing, that
mm.
I could literally remote view and tune into where they were, what happened, almost like the moments before, like a movie being played out till the very end.
Right.
That little boy that they found out by Lake Mead about 3 years ago, and his
Mm,
parents were like frantic, they did it. I knew that. I just knew that. But it
mm.
was all through closing my eyes. Forensic psychic abilities is that way too.
That one's a little hard for me with the children because
It
I
was
see that.
really rough.
I see that. I feel that. I can't. When I was in law enforcement too, it was always hard. That one's too much for me. That's kind of where I stop. Because you start to you see it is very hard. And if you can do it, blessings to you. I can do anything but that.
Well, see, I think the reason, my brother, my half brother, has gifts, but he denies them all the time. He's been a police officer for many, many years, and that intuition and his gifts help him read people so incredibly. Everybody has these gifts, but he worked for Clark County Coroner's Office for quite some time, and I asked him. I said, "Chris, how do you do it?" He says, It reminds me of what I do when I remote view. I
Right.
am detached from what's going on. I'm literally just watching it, almost like I'm on the moon looking at the bigger picture,
Right. Right.
where you feel detached from it, because I know that what he did and what I do is going to help somebody find peace and serenity. It's going to find closure. And I recently, a very good friend of mine my husband worked for Metro Air Support. Hi, Vicki Curtis. Hello, welcome. I can't do the Spock, but hello, my beautiful friend. Thank you for joining. But I think remote viewing has so many wonderful things that you can use in this lifetime. I even think that because I also do past life regression, I also feel that when you're looking at a past life, it's almost like you're astral traveling to that point in that time and space,
Yes.
and you're looking down on it. You're not always necessarily a part of that past life. What do you think about that?
Well, it's the same thing. I think that psychic, the past life, you're really getting that visual, and if you allow that channeling to come through as clear as it can,
Yeah,
and past life, I mean, for me, it's a little bit easier because it's happened. It's in that past. It's not the energy of now.
correct.
Um, and some of it you can feel, if you go into that past life and you're watching the woman bathing. Like one of the visions I had was the woman bathing. She was at the water, going in the water. She was getting something out of the water, and she had gone down to that kind of a creek or a marsh several times, going in there, and that's where she was found at the end of her life. But um, you kind of see that, you get that picture, there's that detail, there's that kind of novel, or you script it, or you're talking, or you're channeling. It's much easier to just sometimes just turn on an audio, or record yourself that detail, because when you're channeling and you're in that separation, trying to write it down, there's so much that you lose, and having that disconnect. But it's that same. You're still taking yourself back. You're still seeing that flash, and you can play that video. I mean, for me, I get like this huge video of what is playing out.
Well, that's
But
remote viewing, in my
yeah,
opinion.
absolutely,
That's what it
absolutely.
feels like.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. You're just you're just there, you're back, and you're watching this. It's like you're watching Netflix. You're sitting on the couch and you're watching this entire movie going on.
And before
And
you
it's
know
like,
it,
wow.
you're not in your body. You're just kind of engaged in the present moment in that movie. That's what remote viewing feels like.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. And being able to go back to that. And if you're going into the past life and you're looking at that moment, at that time, and just go with what that feeling is and just be in it. And it's pretty awesome. To be able to do that and to get those clear moments when you're able to do that and share that with someone, or you're doing it with a group of people and you have that energy and you have that closure. But
Well, that's
all,
CE5's trick.
yeah,
You do it with a group of like-minded people to raise that consciousness to
yes,
contact these. And the only word I'm going to use, because that's what everybody understands, it's your form of reference, are alien beings.
yeah, oh,
And
absolutely,
they see ships too, because it's that collective consciousness.
right. And seeing ships and going in. Sometimes you need um if you're at that moment and you can't do it alone, make sure you have somebody with you, because we did like a shamanic travel to contact spirit guides at one point. But these guides were in a ship here, kind of in that council coming out, and I had that conversation and I can see into that. And we went into there doing that with a shamanic travel, and you're just kind of letting go
Mm-hmm.
and just looking into that and being able to see and listen and really listen to those beings. And sometimes it's easier with somebody there because you know who you're coming back to, somebody's protecting you, somebody's got your back. If you got your spirit guides, but if you're worried because they're not tangible, they're not in this physical body here, then you have somebody to bring you back, right?
I love that you said that, because the girl that I was in contact with, she's kind of a little scaredy cat. And she was holding the other person's hand that she brought with her during this, just because she just wanted to feel grounded and wanted to not. So there are ways around this when you have
100%.
these little weird, there's no right or wrong way to do this either.
Right. Right. And just remember, as you're doing all this, there's other beings will be coming towards you. So you want to be able to disseminate those energies. And if you feel it, then okay, that's perfectly fine. Allow yourself, give yourself that choice to stop. And other people, when other people are there, if they're connected to you or they're connected to their higher conscious as well, they can view what's going on with you. And they maybe can see things that you can if you're just starting to do this.
Yeah, definitely. Well, every Friday I do coffee with a psychic medium. And when I go and try to, do predictions of what I'm seeing in the future, it's really cool because some things have been coming true. I can't believe it. But I do like a remote viewing. I go up into consciousness and I ask. One thing you have to do, you have to sometimes, not always, but most of the time you should have a target.
Yeah.
And so I put a target of a timeline, and I always tell spirit, show me what's happening in the next 6 months. And I'll go up and literally remote view, astral travel through time and space, and to see what is spirit showing me. It's a form of remote viewing, a form of astral traveling. That's how I do my Friday predictions.
Yeah.
And it's crazy some of the things that you get, but I've learned to trust what I see, what I feel, what I hear. And then I come back and I write it down. Sometimes I have the ability to still astral travel, but I will speak like Edgar Casey did. And I have a recorder so that I don't have to worry about the mechanics of memorializing that, if that makes sense.
Right. Absolutely.
You guys try that. It works. And I'll just speak it just because that's how Edgar Casey connected.
He
And
had his
didn't write
wife sitting
anything
next
down.
to him. He had his wife sitting next to him. She recorded it. And she could, she can even write things down, or even for the patient or whoever he was doing that channeling for, he had the ease to let go, and he had somebody to support him and to bring him back out of that moment. And to kind of interpret for the other person what was going on, what was he saying, because they might not necessarily get what he was channeling.
Exactly. Well, I want to talk about a little bit more about experiences, some experiences we've had with remote viewing and astral traveling. Anything that comes to mind, Nicole, for you, or you want me to just kind of start? Or I know I kind of just threw that at you.
No. I love, now it's different. When you're looking at the remote viewing, that feeling of being able to disconnect. It's an awesome feeling to allow and trust, right? But to be able to do it, or to be able to shift, when you're doing it, it's amazing. I mean, again, it just reminds me of that roller coaster, that freedom that you have, that you're hooked into the seat and you don't have to worry that you're going to fall out.
Exactly.
Right. And you're going to see wonderful things. And sometimes that's just the scary part of it, is you don't know what you don't know. So you're afraid of that
Yes.
woolly bully boogie monster that might pop out.
Preach.
Right.
Preach.
But I
Yes.
didn't
You
do
don't
it for,
know what you
yeah.
don't know, that you're going to be afraid.
Yeah.
And it's not really fearful.
No,
It's
what
just
do you
you
have
just
to
didn't
lose at
know
this
it.
point? What do you have to lose at this point? If you contact spirit and say, hey, just guide me where I need to go, share with me, in ways that I will understand, right? What would you understand? How will you vision it? And then if you record it or just play an audio, you can play it back to you and go, oh, okay, I do remember this, or this popped up, or I went over this house. I mean, I did it one time in yoga. We did an astral travel
Now
with
that
my
would be
yoga
a cool
instructor.
thing to go to.
Yeah,
I
we
never
did.
thought of that.
There was just two of us. It was me and the instructor, and so he was playing some music, and he was like, "Hey, let's just astral travel." Okay, we'll just separate and go out and look over Vegas and see the skylights, and then go up to the stars and separate that, and then come back. We had an alarm, so we knew to come back, right? Because we had to get out of the building and we had to lock
Damn
up.
it. Don't you hate that? Say
But it
no
was
to the
fun.
man. No.
Yeah, no, right?
No.
But it's awesome. Like, and for a long time, I would just separate and do that in my sleep. And so I didn't get sleep for a long, long time.
But when I astral travel, I mean, I'm very aware, but I do feel, even though I may have only had like 2 hours of REM sleep, I do feel rejuvenated. I don't feel tired from it.
Right. But I didn't realize I was going at night. So there was so much going on in my life that at night I was going somewhere else, traveling outside my body, doing some other things in a different dimensional pattern, and didn't realize, hey, okay, whatever you do, make sure you come back with rest, right? Hey,
I love that. See, again, intention.
Right? Oh, absolutely.
Intention.
That's made a big difference. Hey, you can go wherever you want. And some of it I don't really need to remember. I mean, one time I woke up and I was in the middle of some zone or some war zone, and I woke up and I had this huge, and I have a picture of it somewhere, huge handprint on my back. Like I had to show my boyfriend. I was like, wow, because I woke up, I was hot. There was a lot of lasers, a lot of fire. And I ended up in a medical facility. And then I woke up and I was just burning hot, because all this light and all this laser was coming at me. And it was just like, man, I woke up and I was just like, what on
and
earth?
Sometimes that you bring it back and you have to really just kind of center yourself and say, okay, this isn't mine. This isn't mine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was one of the first times I came back where I actually came out right at that time, because I had to leave.
It was just too
at
much.
that moment. Yeah, and it was just crazy, because I was like, man, I feel those bridges. I feel this way. And I did a lot of paranormal, haunted house stuff when I was a kid and got involved in a lot of that. But this was just totally something different. And it's the first time I ever had a print. Yeah, a full hand.
I've had some weird stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's,
I even astral traveled and spied on an ex-boyfriend. No, see, this is the truth. I don't mean to, honestly.
I've done it. That's why I'm laughing.
This is the truth. And you know why? Because I was so, excuse my language, effed up about, I didn't trust my spidey senses. I think it was like one of those twin flame, crazy, horrible, roller coaster relationships, and I wanted just clarity. And I literally kind of spied on him. Third eye spying, I swear to you.
You're all.
His name is Michael. It's funny because every Michael, for a while I was dating, everybody was named Michael. I was single for a long time and loved it. And quite a few guys were named Michael, but this Michael guy just had something over me. And I asked Spirit to show me, what is he doing in this moment? Where is he really at? What is he really like when I'm not in the room? No, I'm serious.
Different guy. I
swear.
Right?
And it was cool because after a while I started fucking with him because I'm like, oh, so you blah, blah, blah. He said, do you have someone following me? I'm like, I sure do.
That's fine.
I sure do.
Let him feel that.
It really helped me see the clarity of the situation, and it was volatile. I mean, I even had to file a temporary protective order because it got crazy after I left him. And I knew this was coming because I saw it coming through remote viewing and knowing what this person was like.
Well, you knew his MO. You knew what his method of operation was. And
yeah, because I went into that higher consciousness and I actually saw it happening from my energetic side, not at my human existence that couldn't even see the forest through the trees because I was just, I don't even know. Right, Vicki? I don't even know.
Right. And then sometimes we put up a protective barrier that we don't want to see. When you watch those shows, you watch something like CSI or something on Discovery or IDTV, and how did the woman never know that he was the serial killer, right? Because we put that protected barrier on. But when you were able to, you're just allowing them to be behind the scenes and undercover under the veil of that darkness, so you don't want to see, and you don't want to get hurt, and you think you're in love and all this other stuff that's going on, and you're avoiding it. But when you allow yourself to detach in that moment of traveling and not feeling but seeing, so you can see, what's coming forward, what's going to happen to me.
Yeah, exactly. Vicki says, you betcha. You betcha. Another time, this is so crazy. I told you earlier today, I don't go on Facebook. I just don't. I post to Instagram and it goes to Facebook. I don't look at instant messenger. I just don't. I need to, but I don't. But I always go and I look at the memories. And Monday, 8 years ago, Monday, is when my Aunt Dell, who is still in the physical form, who is an incredible clairvoyant, intuitive, had an incredible life. She visited me. I lived in a big 2-story home. I think 4 people, 5 people were living in that same home with me, my family. Everyone for some reason was gone. I think my husband was hunting and the kids were somewhere else. I was alone in this house. And I remember, and it's not that sleep paralysis at all. I just felt very at peace, and I was kind of lucid, that lucid dreaming.
Yeah.
And I kind of knew that the sun was just starting to come up in the east. I could just feel it. And I felt this presence walk in, and I felt her breath. So I slept on the left side of the bed. So I have a nightstand over here, and here would have been my husband. I knew he wasn't there. And she whispered some things to me and said goodbye and some other things. And then this year, that song Karma Police started playing in this year. And then I just felt her sit down on the bottom of the bed. I literally felt the covers depress and my feet kind of go down.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of freaked me out. And I swear to you, I'm not proud of this, but I peed the bed because it kind of freaked me out. I really did. I've never, not even as a kid did I pee the bed, but it freaked me out. So I got on the phone. This was so early in the morning. I knew my Aunt Dell was getting ready to leave. So I waited till like 10 o'clock to make sure everybody, was up, and started making phone calls. Well, she didn't answer. My cousin who lived with her didn't answer. My mom's like, I haven't heard from her. My Aunt Linda's like, I haven't heard from her. And so I sent a big, huge bouquet of her favorite flowers with Pro Flowers. You know how good Pro Flowers is. And I paid extra to have them delivered the very next day. Well, for some reason, it didn't get delivered. And then another day came on and they weren't delivered. And so they were going to give me a refund and blah, 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 blah. How it has to do with remote viewing. When I realized that those flowers were being delivered, I checked in on my aunt because nobody could get a hold of her. And
Wow.
I saw her body and I saw what was wrong. And I just knew and it confirmed that she's got
Ooh.
one foot in spirit, one foot out. And I did that through remote viewing because I wanted to check on her because nobody could get a hold of her. Her son even did too, but he thought, no, that's my mom. I just checked in with her. I know she's okay. So he
Right,
doubted
right.
himself, but I didn't. I steadfast. Long story short, 7 days later, an hour before she passed, Pro Flowers delivered 3 dozen beautiful orchids, her favorite purple orchids, and she got to read my little note to her.
Ah.
And I know that here's what remote viewing did for me. It allowed me to not let anything go unsaid.
And you know, I've done that with a lot of family members. You know, it's a beautiful thing to be able to do that. And you're touching them, you're touching their spirit, you're touching their soul, and it's a way to say goodbye, to say
Yeah.
what you need to say, and it helps you for that transition, right? You
Yeah.
know, it helps you work with that transition. So for me, in that point of death was always easier to, because I've always said goodbye ahead of time.
Yeah.
And I've always said, okay, you know, I release you. I love you. When you're ready, just go. It's okay.
Yeah.
You know, say goodbye. And so when you do see them at that end of life, you're not struggling to hold on. You're
No,
not
not at all.
struggling to keep them there. You know that you've already said goodbye to their soul and their spirit, and it's okay. And sometimes that's all they need because they want to stay around
Yeah.
because they worry about the people here, like they're at
Yeah.
that
Oh, they
moment.
do.
You know, it's the same with hospice patients. Going in there with hospice patients when I used to work with them and allowing them, you know, it's okay. It's okay if you need to go. It's okay if you need to release.
Yeah.
Here I am to help guide you through that and that separation, and say what, you know, tell whatever story or get a hold of whatever family member or record, have your story recorded, you know,
I
or
love
just,
that.
yeah, you know, just be there in that moment, or even use like essential oils or, you know,
Oh,
that,
essential oils are part and parcel to what I do.
oh, 100%. And allowing them, if they choose, if it's not too much for them, to use essential oils, or to use, you know, if whether it's your Reiki energy or whatever you use, your angel therapy, and taking it in, and just helping them, letting them know that it's time to release. You know, it helps walk them through that. And a lot of people can't do it, and I get it. I mean, my magical powers are the end of life, or in the chaos of life,
Yeah.
being able to deal with that kind of darkness at that point. Not everybody can do it, but being able to share that, and that's kind of done with that separation, like you were talking about, especially for a family member. It's a lot easier.
It really is. You know, and thank you for that. That was very beautiful. Thank you for that. That was really incredible. I've used remote viewing to find animals that are missing. Like my
Yeah.
little friend Pfeifferstein in 2019, she would go out the front door when I would water, and she wouldn't go far, and she'd always let me know when she wanted to come back in, but she never left like the front little area. Well, one day she was missing, and
Mhm.
my heart is my friend Pfeifferstein. She purrs like she smokes 2 packs of cigarettes a day. I don't know what that is. I've never smoked in my life. But I missed her because she slept with me every night on my chest, then she'd move after about an hour and come between my husband and I. And so I put out flyers. I walked around we have a gated neighborhood. I asked everybody. And so I literally came into my sacred space, into my office, and I said, we're going to go find her. So that was my target. I knew what my target was. And before I actually went into that deep, deep meditation to be able to go up into consciousness, I looked at Google Earth and I took a snapshot of my area. And I looked at it and I set my intention, spirit, show me where my baby is. Show me where my friend Pfeifferstein is. And I knew immediately that a little kid walked by. Oh, look at this pretty kitty. I'm going to take you
Oh.
home, you little bastard. Not yours, you little shit. I knew, and I kind of knew in areas. So I started putting up flyers, and someone kept taking down the, I saw myself. I knew intuitively put up flyers. So I went and I put up flyers all over, but in this one spot, I just saturated it. And in this
Yeah.
one smaller spot, I noticed that someone was taking them down.
Hmm.
And so I came back. This was like 5 days later. I came back into my sacred space, and I'm like, I'm going to find her. I know she's alive. I know she's good. I know she's not at the pound, because I already did remote viewing. I already astral traveled and checked. Is she here? Is she here? Is she here? I didn't see her. I didn't feel her energy. This is awesome about remote viewing, astral travel. You can do so much with it.
Yeah.
And I finally found the area, and I just every day, sometimes 3 times a day, would walk around going, Fran, handing out more pictures, more pictures. That was the 6th day. The 7th day, for some reason, she was in my backyard. There is no way that cat climbs, because in Vegas, we have block walls. This
Yeah.
is a 7-foot block wall. There's no way. She's never done it in 6 years. She's not going to do it all of a sudden. So I know the area, and I know the little kid's parents probably saw that flyer and brought her back. But that is remote viewing and how it can help you.
That's awesome. See, that's awesome. And you got your pet back. That's so wonderful.
My baby, and she's still, I mean, I saved her. She had
And how many
pancreatitis, and
other
I gave her energy
things?
medicine and brought her back to life.
Awesome. See, and I bet she missed you so much. She
Oh
was
my
probably
God.
sad, huh? Caged in there.
For a while, she didn't leave my side. But I'm telling you, these gifts are meant to be used. You know, I'm not one to tell you to go out there and start practicing. Really, I want you to do your homework, guys. Understand how to do it. I have a book. What the heck? Oh, I got to show you this book. Because I want to do better at it. I want to do better at astral projection.
Yeah.
But it's called Astral Projection. It's pretty thick. I'm like snoozing already through it, because a lot of it is aura seeing procedure. I don't need to see auras. I already see auras. So rotate image phenomena. Some of this stuff is like, bleh. But there's some really good information in here, things that I never thought to do that actually make my astral travel and remote viewing specific. Because, honey, when we start doing CE5, I want to go up on that ship.
I'm there, baby.
Set that intention. But
already been there once. Let's do it together. Hey, let's do that.
You went to a ship?
Yeah. When I was talking about the shamanic one, we went to the ship.
But you actually, so tell me more about that. I'm going to just real quick, practical applications of the out-of-body experience. I'm terrible with names. Llewellyn Weschke, John Slate, PhD. Just do astral projection. You get it on. Yeah, pleh. So go deeper. Tell me more. What did it feel like? What did you see? Because I've had people from the CE5 and watched a lot of documentaries about astral traveling, remote viewing, and how they've gone on ships, and how it's all by touch and by senses, and it's all through the power of the mind, how they work this ship, and blah. Tell me about it.
Well, I was in a shamanic meditation, and I was called to go into my higher council, which they don't necessarily need a ship. So that higher council comes kind of like Star Wars. Which one is it? Where they're in the second, third, what is it? The newer series. Not the original Star Wars, not the original
I'm terrible.
3.
I didn't really watch those.
Okay, well, you're fired. But anyway, they're in this huge.
Who in the United States hasn't seen Star Wars? Not really. I'm sorry, and I'm a geek. I love that stuff. All right, I'm gonna watch it.
But anyway, so they're in this kind of auditorium, where Coliseum, I would kind of say, where there's all these seats and these people, and they're traveling on these chairs, and they can travel, they can move up and down and around, and there's a higher count. Anyway, there's all these people, and then there's a council. It's kind of almost, there's a council there that talks about, I think Corey Good does a really good explanation more on it, where there's that council there, and they're talking about that universal connection, and people here on Earth and people on other planets. Very Star Trek-y. When Star Trek.
I did see Star Trek.
Okay, so there's a lot of Star. Oh my gosh, and I can't remember which series it is. But there are those councils for a lot of these planets where they come together. Jean-Luc Picard, right, would do it too, where he goes to a planet, but every time Jean-Luc goes to Picard goes to a new planet, he talks to those councils. So he is a representative. He's an earthly representative that travels to other planets, and cosmic universes, but they all talk together. They all come to the ship and they talk. And there's that connection. And so
that was your experience?
My experience was anyway, what I was talking about was the council. So there is a council. There is a higher council. It's sometimes 9. The main portion, the important portion is 12. But in the ship I went up, I could see outside the window, and of course I asked to come onto the ship to see if they would allow me to see it. Because in a lot of my meditations, I see the council, but I'm not always privy to the information. And so for me, that's why right now I'm waking up, is because I'm allowed to do that, right? So I'm the misfit on Earth and the black sheep, but I'm also the black sheep to the higher council, in a sense, just to make it kind of tangible for people to kind of follow. And so I asked to come onto the ship. I was laying on a table. They weren't doing anything on me. I was just resting, but the council was around my body and talking to me, finding out if I'm worthy at this moment to be enlightened with information for connection and for consciousness and communication, and speaking that wisdom to the world as an earthly being. To me, the message that was relayed, the long short of it is that message that was relayed to me was that they had people they were choosing they had people that they were trying to choose to disseminate information on Earth and to have that connection and be that go-between, right? Kind of like a psychic medium, where you're in medium, you're the medium, you're the median, mediator, right? The mediator, where they have it in like court systems, and you're that absolutely that in between. So you're that neutral balance, and you're speaking for them the information to relay it on Earth, where people would listen to it, because they're not going to listen to the politicians. They're not going to listen to the Rockefellers. They're not going to listen to certain people like JFK and his family, which goes way, 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 way back. And we all know the history of that. That's kind of all dead at this point. But more people will listen to it through the type of communication and that ability to speak. And so that's that voice opening, which my throat chakra wouldn't have opened till the recent years. But the reason for that is that they were trying to get somebody. If you ever watch Triple X with Ben Diesel,
not a fan.
Okay, that's okay.
Sorry, but I'm fired.
That's okay. Well, the CIA picks him out. The government picks him out, but they want a perfect person. They want the perfect person that is relatable, that speaks certain terms, that's polished and primed and professional, and has a certain education and has a certain connection or this lineage. It never works out. That person never works out. Even if you're looking at, he basically goes undercover. So the point of that is the person that goes, and I worked undercover for a moment, but that person that goes undercover has to kind of be a little bit gritty. They can't be perfectly polished, because you'll stick out like a sore thumb, right? And so the higher council was trying to prime that perfect specimen, that perfect bloodline, and it didn't work. And so now that message is coming out, and they're allowing, certain people on this earth to speak and talk and share and communicate and be the voice, because they're realizing our time here is different timeline than their time. So they have years and years and years. That's why we were waiting. Why are we waiting so long?
Yeah,
What's
that's
the
a
problem?
linear time, non-linear time. I
Yeah.
wish people would learn more about time is really irrelevant,
Right.
only to Earth bodies.
100%. But if the council is talking to an earthbound body, us in our meat suits, they have to respect that time, and they couldn't respect that time. And so when you're talking about politics, and you're talking about councils, there's still rules that they have. There's ways we've always done it. Well, it's not working. It's time. Now's the time. And so how that works today is when you're working on disclosure. Oh, well, it's coming slowly. Well, go somewhere else and the disclosure is there. Go to Brazil, disclosure is there. Go to Peru, disclosure is there. Go to Mexico, disclosure is there.
Israel.
Go to Israel, disclosure is there. Just, but we're so busy infighting and living in fear, again, where we're not in our love bodies, that we're not seeing what's in front of us, and we're not accepting what's in front of us. And we want that person. It's like wanting that boyfriend that you shouldn't be with.
Oh, I know what that's like.
Right? You're desperately trying to get him to tell you he loves you, but he's not ever going to tell you that because he doesn't. So it's kind of like the government. We're going to have the government tell us about disclosure and how our energy works. Well, and it's not going to happen on a certain point, right?
Yeah, but just imagine just for a moment, because I'm not a big fan of government in my business. I'm really not. I think we're smart enough to run our own lives.
100%.
But that's political, and I'm so sorry, but it has a meaning. So for me, I think that if people were made aware of what, for example, I've experienced in my lifetime, it will change so many aspects of our world order, of religion, of our own divinity, of reincarnation.
Yes.
Because I see dimension, space, and time, and I can see it different times, not all the time. It's hard for me to do, but there's other dimensions. It's almost like folded into and on top and around us that we just don't have the capability yet to see, although I think the government has, because if we didn't have infrared cameras, we wouldn't be able to see heat signatures. And for years, those weren't even built. So I think we have technology that is able to start seeing some of these things. I mean, look at some of the things CE5 has captured. It's amazing. They caught that little bijou guy who's an alien who kind of looks like a praying mantis head. And don't get all freaked out when I say praying mantis. I'm just saying shape. Not reptilian, all that crap. No, I'm just saying it's just shaped like that. And he was very small and very playful looking. But we're starting to have the technology to understand this and see this for ourselves. But imagine though, Nicole, if everybody was exposed to some of the experiences that I know happen. I'm not schizophrenic. I'm not insane. Like Sheldon Cooper, my mother had me tested.
I love it.
But it's honestly going to change the way that our value system, our morals. Is money really that important? Are jobs that important? Because these other societies, these other dimensions, and these other beings don't have all of this minutia, this crap, this stuff that keeps us in line, like the Bible and all these laws and politicians and religion. Religion was designed for a specific purpose, and that's to keep the order.
Right.
My opinion, people, my opinion. Okay, start the hate chat right now. Go ahead. I don't care. I'm going to tell it like it is. I'm going to tell you my truth. But imagine, Nicole, what would happen. Like when I saw, how many of you out there have seen Close Encounters of the Third Kind? When I saw that movie, something resonated within me.
Was it
That
beyond the mashed
movie,
potatoes?
yeah,
That was
yes.
awesome. That
Oh my
was
God,
so
I sound like
awesome.
RuPaul. Yes, girl. Where's my RuPaul glasses? But when I saw that movie, and then later on, I saw Project Blue Book on History Channel with J. Allen Hynek. J. Allen Hynek ran Project Blue Book, and he believes that he found things. He's got proof, but of course, he's not allowed to say what his findings really are. Because imagine if he did, our whole value system, everybody would change. But J. Allen Hynek was helped Steven Spielberg write parts of that movie. He was a consultant on that movie. So
yes,
guys, go back and watch that movie. See what resonates, because what's the guy? What was his name? Dreyfuss?
yes,
That
Richard
guy
Dreyfuss.
trusted what he saw. He wasn't going to let anybody stop him from finding his truth. And that's my message to you guys right now. Don't believe in a psychic medium. Don't believe in what we're saying. Universal Google that shit. It's all over the place. And whatever resonates, take. Whatever doesn't, throw it away. If you want to spy on your boyfriend or girlfriend, book a session with me. I'll tell you how to do it. Bam. Well,
Yes,
it's 9:07.
absolutely.
9:07. Any last? I know it goes by fast. It goes by fast. Any last words, Nicole?
No, I love this. I think, it's very powerful to be in that group and to share. Just to share with people coming on to YouTube tonight, and to share that love and that thought and what they see and what they know. And of course, my phone's going off. I don't know why it's on mute. But
I can't hear it. You're all good.
that's
You're
okay.
all good.
But
Have some more bubble, buble.
ooh, you're awesome. But it's going within and not going without, and just sharing that. It's times like these when we're just talking, when we're free to talk at this moment, and sharing your truth and speaking that.
Yeah, because speaking your truth is I think it's a right, not a luxury. And I think our speaking our truth is under fire. So I encourage you all to seek out your own truth. Speak your truth, that freedom of speech. I'm not out here to hurt anybody. I'm just speaking my truth, and whatever resonates, God bless. And I say God, don't get all freaky at me, people. But God is like my divine creator, but that's what we all understand. That's everybody's form of reference.
Right.
I just think that this show that Nicole and I have put together is just to put out information and our own experiences.
Right.
The rest is up to you guys.
Absolutely. If you have any questions, contact us. Gosh.
So Nicole, where can they find you? And I'm going to put in the body all your information, but where can they find you?
SabotageSmasher.com.
Book some time with her. Look her up on Instagram. You do a lot of free talks. You do a lot of really cool stuff. Look her up.
Yeah. I've got some free talks coming, and I always talk about energy. No matter what it is, it's always based on energy.
Yeah, because everything is energy. Words are energy. So be careful. Be kind to one another. Be careful what you speak to others, because words do carry energy. And so God bless everybody. Nicole, you're amazing. You can find me. My really name is Rainy Day. RainyDay.com. RainyDay.com. I'm so excited because I just finally was able to purchase my domain name, my real name. Thank you,
awesome.
Muti from The Universe. I love you. Thank you for nudging me to do that. All right, guys, have a great night. We will see you in 2 weeks, and we'll start posting what our topic will be. So join in then.